Happy Monday, everyone. Here we go at it again. Today got my good brother Reef on with me. What's up, Reef?
How's it? Yeah,
How's you? How you doing? Just came back from training, you said, yeah?
yeah, everything's going good. I'm living out here in Utah, training. Have my
Roger.
son out here, so that's why I'm here.
Beautiful,
It's good.
beautiful. All right, we're gonna start off. Introduce yourself, the school that you're training at, and your rank.
Yeah, so my name's Reef Ewald. I'm born and raised on Kauai, Hanalei, Kauai, and I train in Kilauea, Longman Jiu-Jitsu. My dad's gym, Bruno Ewald. But I'm living out here in Utah right now. I'm Draper, Utah, 20 minutes from Salt Lake City, training at this place called Crown. And the professor over there, his name's Carver. Super cool. There's this other guy, his name's Michelle, super tough, black belts. But I'm a brown belt. Yeah, I'm a brown belt, 3 degrees.
Solid,
Yeah.
solid. Oh, just like us then. We same rank. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess, I mean, bro, your dad started that up. I mean, he's one of the pioneers out there, bro. So, I mean, how old were you when you first started moving on the mats?
I've I've been on the mat since I was a baby. I got pictures that I remember looking at when I was young. I remember being on the mats, but probably started training, I believe 4 or 5 years old, you know.
Okay.
But I've always been on the mats because back in the day, my dad's gym, it was in our garage at our house. So we never really had a choice, you know. We are always there to do it. But me and my brother, we'd be watching WWE in the living room, and then we'd come out and train, you know. He only had a kids class because he had us, you know. So
Hmm.
yeah.
How old are you now?
Me, I just turned 27.
Oh,
Yeah. My
dang.
birthday July 27th, 99.
So you've been training like 20 plus years then already.
Yeah, for sure. You know, my dad, he never really forced me to train jiu-jitsu. I feel like he never wanted to push me away. So he just knew it was always there for me, and he always made it there for me. And then but I trained, I got my yellow belt, I got my orange belt, and then it just got to a point, you know, high school, ninth, 10th grade. I'm a Howley boy, you know, but I'm born and raised on Kauai, so I just I felt like I had to train jiu-jitsu or I'm gonna
Mm.
get beat up at some point, you know. So
That's
yeah,
that's kind of an interesting approach that your dad took. I know a lot of times, especially like OG style, like bro, you're my son, so you can do this regardless of whether you like it or not. But he took a smart approach by not forcing you. I think which kept the kind of the love for the sport going with you. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, and I had my brother who, when he got his GED when he was 16, and he moved to Miami, so he was trained jiu-jitsu. So I always knew, I was like, frick, I'm gonna have to train to keep up with him, you know, or he's gonna. I already knew he was gonna smash me, you know, because he's out there training. But like, I gotta train. I gotta be ready to give him a scrap, at least something.
Okay. So high school, you slow. Did you? So you kind of did. There's a point where you slowed down a little bit, like with
No,
other
I
interests
started training in high school more. I was
or
still kind
more.
of doing my thing, surfing on Kauai, hanging with friends, and then I got to a point in high school where I started training a bunch, and I was training 5 days a week, every day.
Mm.
Then I had a good group of the boys training, bunch of good trains always. There's nothing better to do in Hawaii. When there's waves on Kauai, you get into trouble, you know? You guys are doing drugs in the parking lot. There's the only thing to do is surf when there's waves. If there's no waves, you train jiu-jitsu, and that's about it, you know what I mean? Go to the beach, you know?
Yeah, that lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so try talk about like when you guys were in the garage and training in the early days. What was that kind of like? What's that vibe, that feeling?
Frick, it felt like home, honestly, you know, because I remember since I was young, just the mats were always there. So I'd be in, and those guys are training every night. So I'm always running around. And so jiu-jitsu's just always been in my life. I knew I would love it at some point, but I never really, I was just being a kid and going to the beach a bunch. But, and then he moved the gym to Kilauea later. And then we were always in Kilauea, but it was, it was cool. I definitely have a lot of memories being on the mats when I was a little kid, having the gym at our house for sure. I remember looking at a bunch of pictures, all the OGs. So for sure, sick.
Yeah, that must be something. So when you and your brother start off as kids, like like you said, there's a kids program, or that was training other kids too.
Yep.
Are any of those kids still? I mean, well, of course they're adults now, but they still in jujitsu too.
Yeah, there's a freaking handful for sure. You know, jiu-jitsu's not for everybody. Not everyone. I always tell people my brother would say this, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. But there's definitely, I have a handful of friends that are still training. There's a bunch of guys from back then that are still training. And there's a
That's
bunch of guys who fell off and stopped training. They have family, life happens. Is what it
yeah,
is.
because I know I've talked to a few other people that start off at an early age, like 5, 6, and they don't. There's nobody. Maybe like one, maybe. But I guess
Yeah.
maybe in Kauai, Kauai's a little different. Yeah, you guys are like family out there, and you know,
Yeah, there wasn't too much gyms. So and on an island, it's like you're not gonna really go and bounce around at other
right,
gyms because next thing you know, you're gonna fight a tournament and then you fight the guy you're just training with the other gym and you have your other professor. So I get it though. In the mainland, cross training is different.
right.
Islands is a different story.
Has like from the early days when you're a kid to now? Well, of course you're not there now, but has there been more schools starting to come up? Maybe in the last 5, 10 years, maybe out
For
there.
sure. There's Isaki Jiu-Jitsu, yeah,
Mm.
Ian and Evan. Um, those guys are super cool. And there's Julian on the south side. He has the 967, I think it's called, or 679, I forgot. Those guys, Rick, we need the competition on Kauai. So it's good for the kids. And not the thing with jiu-jitsu on Kauai is it's a small island, but not everyone can make it because there's traffic to certain places. So it's hard for some kid that might be here to make it to this gym. It's 40 minutes, but then if there was someplace closer, it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So it's good for the kids and keep them out of trouble. It's all about the kids. And the competition is good, just more people training, growing, and those guys are good. It's a funny story too because they got their black belt from the Mendez brothers, yeah, Hoffa and Guillermi, and I moved after high school to California to Costa Mesa, and I was training from them,
Oh,
and then now their black belts have a gym on Kauai, and they've actually came to Kauai, Tynan, and I'm pretty sure Hoffa and Guillermi, and they brought some guys a few years ago, and they did a seminar. And but I'm friends with all those guys. They're super cool. They always took care of me over there in California. It was cool.
that's interesting.
So
So did you
Evan
move?
and Ian are super cool, and Julian, and I know there's Kamole, there's Hawaii Technique. I know a couple other guys, Technics or forget. All those guys are cool.
That's
I have
solid,
nothing
bro.
bad to say.
So when you went to California, was it for jujitsu, or you
Yeah,
were there for
actually,
something
my
else?
brother he is sponsored by Ruka at the time because we're good friends of the creator of Ruka, Sensei Pat Tenori. He's like an uncle to us, and he's always taking care of us. So Hunter was planning on moving out there, and I was getting finished with high school. I was living. It was actually a year after high school, and now he's like, "Bro, come to California and let's train every day and fight some tournaments." And I'm like, "Fuck, I don't really got anything going for me on Kauai. Let's go." So I moved, and we're living out there for a couple years till COVID, and then we had to move back. My cousin
Uh,
actually passed away. I
ooh,
had a 16-year-old cousin who passed away in a car accident. So we came back for that. And then COVID, and then I actually moved back for another year, and then I went broke, and then we moved back to Hawaii. So the story keeps going.
Yeah. So tell me about those years, those couple years when you were training at AOJ. Like, what would they be like 2018, 2019, somewhere around there before COVID,
It was
2020?
like 2019, 2020, and then when COVID was what, 2020, the end of
2020, 2021, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then I think 2021, back when it was kind of opening up more too. We were there. We came back for another year.
Yeah,
It's like
cause I mean,
around three. I feel like it was around 3 years altogether. I mean, yeah,
look at Southern California now. They're blowing up. Even AOJ, they're huge
yeah,
now, right? I mean,
yeah. I was
was it?
training with. Sorry to
No, no,
interrupt
go
you.
ahead, go ahead. No, no, go ahead.
I was training with all those Tynan when he was a purple belt, and Jonathan Alves was one of my training partners, and I I did the comp class every day at Galermi, and I tried to do it every day. I honestly, I could have. You can always do better, but it's tough. Those guys, it's the real deal. Just being in that room with all those guys who are all the competition, and everyone just wants to win, and guys are going 100% scraps at 7 in the morning. You got to be ready. You got to go over there ready. So definitely good. Change your whole perspective. I feel like you got to go there at some point, even if you don't even like those guys. You got to go there and just do a training and be in the room with the killers. Because now I was training with Cole, and he was a blue belt, and he's an animal, the guy. And but I remember when he was young, and we were growing up together. Tynan, Zach Kaina is my good friend. Lucas Angulo, who's who I was living with, and we're my brother. We're just training every day, 3 times a day. Sometimes we're doing like 15 classes at least a week. Yeah,
Dang.
sometimes 17 classes a week. Yeah.
What do you think was the biggest influence or thing that you got from that time training out there?
Biggest influence, I would like as a person. You mean like who is my biggest? Or
Person, jujitsu, any, how what you got out of that time there, spending those 3 years
yeah,
training at
honestly, I would.
AOJ.
A lot of the time I think about my dad, how he how hard he worked when he was competing. He was young because he had my brother and he had me, and he was in Hawaii, and he would fly to Brazil to train, and then he would fight a tournament. And I was like, I would think about how hard he trained, and it made me want to train hard. And then I was around all these killers who were just training, so I was like, fuck, you can't. They're doing all these things. They're eating healthy, going to sleep early, you know, not smoking. They're doing all these things that add up, that they're being a good person, because there's some guys too that aren't cool, they're not nice, they're not good people, they end up losing, and they're good at jiu-jitsu, they're solid, but at the end of the day, though, I feel like the whole thing, you can't be a real black belt and not be a good person, you know.
It's true. You're
Uh,
true.
uh,
Very
I just
true.
seen this video of this guy talking about it, and he's saying like a lot of people, it's worse to be a black belt and just carry it. Just because you're a black belt, you can do all these things and be a certain way, but you're supposed to present yourself as, you know someone who's a good person in a society, who can help people and help kids, and good person, from what I was
100%.
taught, for sure.
Yeah, that's good values, bro. That's good values, especially as you start to lift up and then you start to influence kids. Yeah, kids start to
Yeah,
look at you.
for
Yeah,
sure.
that's super important. So, where's your dad from?
My dad's from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And
Okay.
yeah, that's where he's from. His brother did judo when he was young, and that's how he started. He did judo at first. I'm pretty sure he was 13 or 14 when he started doing judo. My dad was big. My dad's 6'6", and when he was in Brazil, everyone just knew he was gonna be good already. I feel like, just being a big dude like that. And then he got into jiu-jitsu, as my dad's older brother was doing jiu-jitsu. And then I think he was just hooked once he started jiu-jitsu.
Hmm. What brought him to Hawaii? Do you know what brought him to Hawaii?
So he had a friend, or it was a friend or a cousin, who sent him a postcard to he was on Oahu, and he said, "Hey," I sent him a postcard. "Hey, I'm on Oahu. I found the island, cousin. I got the waves. It's beautiful. You need to come here. This is the place." And then he sent him another postcard, and the cousin was on Kauai, and he's like, "This is the real island. You got to come here." And then my dad went to Kauai when I think he was 17 years old, 17 or
Whoa.
18. Couldn't even speak English. And he moved to Kauai or Hanalei, and he used to freaking sleep in the bushes on a hammock with a bunch of Hawaiians that he met. And he met my mom at his first job washing dishes right at Hanalei Gourmet. He couldn't even speak English. My mom was a server. And then next thing you know, they have my brother, So it's crazy.
That's a cool story, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so he came to Hawaii, he came to Kauai, and then I guess what he started
Yeah, I don't
training
know
or
exactly freaking the whole. I'd have to have him.
I got
You
I got
got to get him
I
on
got
here.
I was gonna say I gotta get your
Yeah.
dad on here. He's an
You would
interesting
come.
dude.
Guaranteed. I'll tell him.
I'll reach out to him
I'll
too.
talk
Yeah,
to him.
that'll be sick. That'll be sick. All right,
He can
so
give you the real story.
yeah. So so you're at AOJ, you go back for another year, and then you come back to Hawaii, and then what, you jump back into your dad's school?
Yep. And then I was teaching at my dad's a couple days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and he would teach. And then we had Dustin Barca also teaching, black belt. And it's good. Freaking bunch of tough guys over there training hard. A good group of guys right now. They, bun- they has, there's a few brown belts, just got their brown belts, some bunch of black belts right now, some tough trains for sure. But then I opened a juice bar. My brother was going to open a juice bar, and then I ended up opening it. And then I was teaching, running a juice bar. I have a girlfriend. My girlfriend's pregnant, and then I'm having a son, and she has to move home to be close to her family. And I just sell my juice bar, move out here to Utah, and then I've just been out here in Utah, and I was teaching out here actually, and then that kind of I fell through. The academy closed down, and I went to a different academy, and I just been training and
Mm.
raising my son out here. So everything's been good.
What,
Utah guy now.
what's your son's name?
His name's Kiai.
Yeah, solid, solid. Okay, so how long have you been out in Utah?
I've been out here since the end of 2024. So I think October 2024. So coming up on a couple years.
Mm.
Yeah, time flies.
I mean, aside from the obvious stuff like some of the weather and stuff, what's the biggest thing you had to adapt to when you went out to Utah?
I'd say the dryness. It's so dry, because being from Kauai, it's so humid on Kauai. It almost feels like it's hotter there because you don't sweat as much here. It's
Mm.
weird. You can run for a couple miles and you'll barely sweat, but if you're in Hawaii and you ran that far, you'd be dripping in sweat. Because like right now, it's actually been a little cooler. It's been like 87, 86 this past couple days, but it's going to be 105 tomorrow or something, and then a couple months from now, it's going to be 30 degrees. So you almost got to have like a freaking thermometer at your front door before you walk out, because you never know, some days I'll be going out like a tank top and I'm like, oh, 30 degrees, 40 degrees. Yeah, no way. I got to change.
All right. So is jiu-jitsu pretty big in Utah too?
Yeah, there's some gyms, there's some guys training. Um, there's tough guys everywhere in the world. There's a there's some tough guys in the professor Carver is tough, and there's this guy I've been training with over here. He's played for the Raiders and the
Oh
Cleveland
wow.
Browns. He's a brown belt, big boy. He's tough. But there's competition. There's not that much brown belts. I honestly tried to fight 2 tournaments and there was no brown belts in my division. I gotta try to find a super fight is the way. I gotta ask this lady and I can get a super fight. So I'm in the works with something soon. I'm gonna do a fight, but yeah, there's guys training out here, for
That's
sure.
solid.
There's a lot of wrestlers. There's a big wrestling state.
Mm,
There's a lot
mm,
of tough
mm,
wrestlers.
mm.
You'll go to the open mat, some wrestler shows up that just doesn't know too much jiu-jitsu, but D1 wrestler ready to just scramble. So you got to be ready. You never know who's going to walk through the doors, for sure.
Mm.
That's why I like
How
to
far?
train. We always got to stay ready.
Yeah.
Train every week. I don't get to train as much as I'd like to, but I'll at least get in there 3 times a week at least. Maybe 2 if I'm really unlucky during where I gotta watch my son and I can't, but at least 3 times for sure.
Solid. How far away is your gym from you?
10, 15 minutes. How far?
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I interviewed somebody, their gym's like 45 minutes away, so that's
Yeah, the
rough.
other one that I was training at was 45 minutes away. But I wasn't paying to train there, so that was nice. And I always tell people when they gotta drive a little longer, it can give them a little time to think about what they gotta work on and
Mm,
stuff. Because sometimes when you live so close to your house, you just get right back into your life,
mm,
and you don't get
yeah,
even time to think about what you got to work on. So
it's true.
sometimes I honestly liked it because I'd be like, fuck, if I had something I did stupid, I'd be like thinking about it on my ride home or I can't be doing that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, that when when Rudy and I are coming home from class, we'll talk about stuff. So I know what you mean. It's not quite as long, but we still have time to talk about what went through that day at class. So
Yeah, a lot of
definitely.
time I would call my dad or my brother, my friends, and talk about the train and be like, tell them I got fucking drilled or I got drilled or I drilled someone.
So I know you mentioned there's not many brown belts, but how many tournaments you think roll through that area maybe in like a year?
Oh, there's a bunch of tournaments, honestly. There's just not as much higher belts that fight. There'll be some
Uh,
older guys. It's more of like older, more hobbyist guys that are kind of
mm,
and but there's a lot more blue belts and purple belts and white belts that are fighting a lot of kids, but
mm,
they have tournaments freaking every other weekend out here, straight up.
wow,
Uh,
wow.
well, not really too. I guess I don't look honestly too much, but I've been training, ready to compete. I'm just kind of. I have my son. It's kind of hard to find the time to where I can. I want to be training at least 5 days a week for 3-4 weeks. To go and win a tournament. I want to be ready. I don't want to go and be like just casually training a few times a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I
One of
get you.
those
I get
things.
you.
Gotta find the
So,
time. Gotta wake up earlier. Go to the early classes. It's one of those things. Yeah.
so you were I think you're talking a little bit about possible super fight. You guys have those kind of
Yeah.
big events
I'm
out
gonna
there.
talk to this lady. There's this lady who trains at the academy, and she owns this little a pit. She does these super fights at the pit with the angled. So it's pretty cool. They do like a tournament where they have 4 mini pits. Like how they have you seen those pits?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where you
Like
can
you
jump
guys
off the side and
like
it's all
UFC
angled.
BJJ.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sick.
Uh,
That's sick.
so she said she can find me when I talk to her, or I talked to someone, my friend, and he said she can find one. So I just gotta let her know.
Be
Yeah,
solid.
I'm going to soon, Yeah, real soon here.
So, so you've been doing jujitsu for a while. Like, did you? I'm assuming you competed as a kid too, right?
Yeah, I competed a couple times, not too much as a kid. I definitely could have. I wasn't taking it as serious when I was a kid. I was
Mm.
surfing a bunch and just being a kid on Kauai. I would train every so often. Couple, I'd train and then I wouldn't train, and then it was more. But I'd have my little times where I'd train for a couple weeks, month, and then I wouldn't train and then go back to training. But then once high school came around, that's when I was training more consistently. And I was like 14, 15. I was like, I have to train. Then I was just getting drilled at the academy for a long time by a bunch of guys, just get tapped out all the time, every day for years. And eventually then I moved to California, just kept training. No secret. I just trained every day for a couple of years and I got a lot better. I felt my game get a lot better. And then I came back and I never had as hard as a time with a lot of the guys, and still tough train, still a couple guys who can get rubs for sure. Just gotta, play it smart, close guard.
So, so then after, that time at AOJ, you elevated. Did you do competitions after that?
I did. I've done a few. I did one on Kauai. Um, I did one on Kauai that I won. There's only one guy that showed up. This guy from the Big Island. I, what did I do? I footlocked the guy, and right before I moved out here to Utah, I did the NAGA on Oahu, and I won that. I had 3 fights. That was the last tournament I've done. I need to compete already. I had a kid, so it's kind of what happened. It's been dad life, watching my son a lot and training when I can and working and just keeping busy. But
Yeah, I hear you.
yeah, that was the last competition. I did a bunch of opens when I was living in California, a bunch of IBJJF opens. I fought worlds a couple times. I fought pans. I lost. I never won. I got silver at freaking an open. Well, I've won a bunch of fights, but I lost a bunch of times too. Like, but then I won some tournaments after, a few. The NAGA was probably the biggest one I won because I was a brown belt and I tapped out 2 black belts.
Oh,
And I
nice.
slept the guy in the final. And the guy was super cool. Just got caught, is what it is. But yeah, that was fun. That was my last one. The NAGA, it was the open and the gi brown, because NAGA they do brown and black belts together.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So it was the adult men's open weight. The guy was bigger than me. And then I fought this other black belt. I footlocked him. He toe holded me pretty good. And I kicked it out, and then I footlocked him. And then the other guy loop choked. And I slept him with the loop choke. And yeah. And then I heel hooked the first guy in the no gi. There's only 1 fight in the no gi, and then 2 fights in the gi.
Was a
But
good day. Was a good
yeah, it was
day.
good.
Yeah.
Good memories for sure. Gonna make some more. Gonna make some more highlights because I've been
Yes,
training.
sir.
I've been training hard. I got some tough freaking guys to train with all year, so I've been getting some good trains. I'm battle ready right now. I feel
I,
this.
I I always ask people, right, that compete, do you enjoy competition?
I Yeah, for sure. It's definitely nerve wracking. You get a little nervous. I've always got nervous fighting, but I f- I feel good. After, and it's always a learning experience, win or lose. But for sure, it's such a good feeling to win. You know, for what winning is one of the best feelings ever. There's nothing like it. So you try to keep winning, but life gets in the way sometimes, and but you just gotta keep going. Um, yeah,
It's funny that, like I asked somebody this question and they actually said they don't like losing versus they like winning, right? It had such a different perspective on the outcome, what they were trying to do, right?
yeah,
So I don't know if that makes you happy competing if you don't want to lose versus, like you said, like winning, chasing that high, right? That rush, that feeling of winning.
yeah. Hey, the best guys have lost. You know what I mean? At some point. So you have to. I always tell people you have to lose to win. So whether
Mm.
I might lose this tournament, but I'm gonna keep training, and eventually I'm gonna win. Because that's how I I lost a lot of tournaments, but I kept training, you know, and never gave up. I had times where it was hard, where even though I might not have, there was times where I could have ate better, you know, I could have went to sleep earlier. I I could have smoked less weed. You know what I mean? I'm from Kauai, straight up. We smoke weed over there. We smoke weed and train jiu-jitsu. So, and it's just, it's saved my life, jiu-jitsu. It's the place that I go to that I don't have to think about. It's like surfing, you know, you just go and you only gotta think about that. And it's, if I don't train jiu-jitsu, I'm turned into a snap case. I feel like I have to choke someone out once a week, at least once a week, or you know. I find friends. I got really couple friends out here. You know, jiu-jitsu. I have a few friends that I've made. I always make friends, train jiu-jitsu. You know,
Mm-hmm.
connect.
Mm-hmm.
So we might not be friends really outside of the gym, you know, because we don't really have anything in common besides doing jiu-jitsu. But that's enough for us to be cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As,
Yep. I hear you.
uh,
What do you think's been, through even from when you're younger, what's been the biggest challenges that you've had to face throughout your jujitsu journey?
probably just staying persistent and training every single day. There's out of times where you train a couple times a week and then you're training every single day and then you fall off, you train a few times a week. So I feel like that's kind of always been hard for me to just stay freaking training every single day for months at a time, as I'll train every single week, but you know, I, if I can, if it's easy access, like when I was working at my juice bar in Kilauea, the gym was right behind my juice bar, and I worked there every single day. So I would train every single night. It was like perfect, and not, but like sometimes it's hard to make it.
Mm,
But
mm.
uh,
What gives you
spaced
what
out on
gives
your
you
question, kind of.
what gives you the most joy from jujitsu? What makes you the happiest?
You know, probably one of the thing that makes me the happiest is like showing someone a move that I've taught them, and then seeing them tap someone out with it, and then that turn into like their move that they like to do. I got That's a freaking good feeling for sure. Tapping someone out that you haven't been able to tap out for a long time, and you've been getting rubs by the guy for a long time, and you finally get him. You know, he's gotta persevere. He can't give up. He's gotta keep going, even if you just get drilled every day. Because that was one thing I would get, even in Kauai, I would get drilled every night for when I was younger. This is what it is. And eventually you just pass the guys because you keep training and you're training more. You end up passing them. And then next thing you know,
Mm.
you're tapping the guy out. So, yeah.
So I'm sure, like how your dad got you into jujitsu, you get at some point your son into jujitsu, right? So what kind of advice would you have for parents that want to start their kids in jujitsu? Like what kind of approach and how should they present it, and what things should they be mindful of doing as they introduce jujitsu to their child?
Definitely, if I was going to tell a parent, I would, you know, try to tell them that I think jiu-jitsu is for everyone. And it's, I feel like whether it's like swimming, you know what I mean? You, you got to know how to swim. Yeah. Jiu-jitsu, you got to know how to protect yourself. So
Mm,
you don't want to, I feel like being a parent, you don't want to send your kid out into the world knowing that they couldn't protect themselves. If they got in that situation, you kind of want to get them ready for life, and jiu-jitsu helps kids and adults in it in almost every way, and confidence building and problem solving and not giving up when you hit something that you think you can't figure out. And I just I think for sure I think everyone should know some self defense, at least to know how to fall down so you don't hurt your head. You're riding a bike,
Right.
just
Right.
you want to know how to fall. You don't crack your head, and jiu-jitsu can save your life, especially when you have a little baby girl. Like I have a son, so I feel like he's gonna be trained jiu-jitsu for sure. His uncle trained jiu-jitsu, his dad trained jiu-jitsu, his grandpa trained jiu-jitsu. He's gonna train at some point. Like I don't feel like I gotta make him, but he's gonna be coming to me for sure. But like a daughter, I'd be like my daughter would probably be a girly girl, so she'd definitely be trained jujitsu. And a lot of times girls when they're younger, they get it a lot better than the
Mm,
boys. I've taught
mm.
little kids 3 to 5 years old. The girls in their three, they're way more on than the boys. So the boys are freaking playing. Sometimes there's the boys that listen, but more of the time they're a little more mature at that age. The girls can listen a little better. But yeah, frick. And I always tell the parents that it's not the kids giving up on training, it's the parents, because a lot of times they don't see the progress when they're kids. So that's why they added all these kids belts, the gray and
Mm.
white and the gray and black and the yellow and black, so they can give more belt stripes and belts. So it's more I feel like it's more for the parents. So the parents can see the progress to keep their kid wanting to go. And then it's good for the kids too, because it makes them happy. It makes them wanting to keep training. They're getting stoked and excited for their next stripe. And it ends up being a lot of fun for the kids too. They just, you know, there was days where I never wanted to train, where my dad would make me a couple times. I remember days where I never wanted to train. I got made to train, but then always every time after, you're glad you went. Even as an adult, when I don't want to train and I make myself go, I'm always glad I went after. And yeah, freaking I think it could save your life. So I think at least everyone should be like a purple belt in their life, at least, just in case you get in this situation where you could maybe save your own life and you won't die because you can fend yourself off to one guy who might be bigger than you and stronger than you, but he doesn't know any technique. And with one move, you could freaking hurt the guy, put him in the hospital. Arm drag the guy. Next thing you know, he's face plant. You never know. So, and I know
Yeah.
tough chicks. I used to train to this chick in the mainland. Her name's Yasmin. She's going to be in the UFC soon. She would drill guys every single day. She's a pretty chick. But at the same time, you're like, this chick will fuck you up. Pretty cool.
But you're right too, even as a family man, right? I mean, shoot, you want to be able to protect your family in a situation that goes bad, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like I give a average girl, I say they train, if they take it seriously, they train for 2 years, 5 days a week for 2 years. And their boyfriend doesn't know any freaking jujitsu, for sure they would beat them up in a fight and choke them out. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter if the guy's stronger, jujitsu prevails. It's proven.
Mm,
It's been
mm.
proven time and time again.
Going back to the part where you talked about the parents, right? I think a lot of times parents lose the real focus of what, especially at a younger age, what you're trying to teach the kids, right? How to pay attention, how to follow instructions, how to
100%.
be good to each other, right? Not so much, oh, can they do the arm bar? Can they do the choke? Can they do these things, right? As they get older, of course, that becomes more important. But like when you're teaching 3 to 5 year olds, just getting to follow instructions, like that's a win already, right?
100%. And there are some kids I would teach. Some parents are cold. They don't hug their kids. They don't tell them they love them. You know what I mean? And I would hug some kids, and it almost make me tear up because you start caring about all these kids, and freaking you see them grow and get better. It's sick. It's all about the kids. So it's all about next generation. So 100%.
It's a it's a huge responsibility that people who have interactions with children to give them the correct guidance, to give them, like you said, the love and the appreciation for what they're doing. Because if they ain't getting it at home, where are they gonna get it from?
Oh yeah, I could tell some of the kids would like have bad days, and I'd be like, oh, well, you never know what someone's going through. You always got to try to make them happy, especially the kids. I always try to pump them up, play games, and friggin' where they're learning jujitsu at the same time, not just a game where they're not learning jujitsu, some baloney. You know what I mean? But yeah, discipline. That's why some kids need jujitsu for the discipline. They don't get it at home. They learn it from. I've seen so much kids that like are so good and disciplined now at my dad's gym. My dad's freaking good with the kids. He has like over 100 kids, and you go over there and you say, "Hey, what's up, buddy? How's it going?" And they go, "Good, thank you. How are you?" And they shake you in your hand and look you in your eye, and you're like, "Oh, this kid shakes his hand better than an adult." You go to gyms, guys don't even look you in your eye and don't even shake your hand. Like, you can train hard, but then we're shaking the hand. It's easy, bro. All you got to do is look at the person, show a little bit of respect. It's the least you can do. Just look the guy in the eye and shake his hand. But yeah, some kids I've seen. That's one thing I would teach the kids. One of the first things that I would teach them, because that's what my dad would teach, and that's what I learned from him, is how to shake a hand and look in the eye. And then the parents would trip out. They'd be like, "My son is looking me in the eye, like when like trying to shake my hand, showing me how." After I'm like, "Yeah, that's how we do it over here," you know.
Yeah.
So
Again, your
I've learned a
dad's on the
lot.
right path.
I
Yeah,
learned a
your
lot
dad's
from
a
my
good man.
dad and my brother, for sure.
Yeah, good man, bro. And that's again the positive role models, right? Help to influence you, and then you rub off on other kids and other people that you come to contact with.
Yep, for sure. Yep.
All right. So between work, jujitsu, and your family, do you have any spare time to do fun stuff outside of that?
Um, Honestly, there's not much to do out here in Utah. You can mountain bike, and you can there. You know what I did a couple times with a friend from jiu-jitsu. Went to this waterfall. You can hike to a waterfall, jump in the waterfall. That was cool. But my fun is jiu-jitsu. That's like,
Jujitsu.
I go and train freaking whenever I can. Whenever I'm not putting my son to sleep at night, I'll train at night. And then in the morning, there's an 11 o'clock class that I'll train at when I can.
So I'm gonna assume wintertime, it gets plenty of
Wintertime,
snow over
snow. We're
there.
praying for snow. When the snow's here, I'll be snowboarding. You know, pray for snow. It hasn't been the best this past couple of years, but doesn't take a lot to make me happy. Not gonna lie. So I've had fun this last time. I went like 12, 13 times, I think. It was fun.
I figured they would probably be snowboarding. No more surf, so gotta snowboard, right?
Oh yeah, I got to.
Must be hard, like you're landlocked, so no beaches, no hangouts, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different, bro, and it's real religious out here. Everyone's nice though, but it's all mountains, so it's beautiful. We're in a valley, the mountains on both sides. I never even been here before I moved here. I literally just flew here and moved here. I never even knew what it was like at all. And yeah, but when the snow's here, it's gonna be it's nice because the mountains are right here and
Uh,
feels just like home back in Honolulu and Kauai. The mountains are close. Now there's snow on them, you know. 30-minute drive to go snowboarding. If you're ever up here, I'll bring you guys up for sure.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. I want to close. I'll close out with this. Where do you want your jujitsu journey to take you?
In the future, my goal I would like to be a professor of an academy, really win some more tournaments, fight some more tournaments, and I want to fight forever. I don't want to stop fighting. I want to be like Megaton, but you know, but just gotta keep training, and world champ. I don't know. Maybe one day Masters. I'm only 27. If I lock down for a couple of years, I just want to be happy, train jiu-jitsu, enjoy with my son, to I'm going to put all my effort into my son and want him to be a lot better than I ever was, and I want him to wrestle, and I just want to be there for my son. That's what it's all about. And main thing, he's happy and he's tough, and then I'll be teaching him, and then hopefully I have an academy and we can move back to Hawaii, whether I teach at my dad's gym or I don't know, open my own gym out here. Who knows? But just frickin' keep it going, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Stay
Yes,
positive,
sir.
keep training, some competition soon, some super fights, get my black belt, and yeah, we start teaching out here. I don't know, open a gym. I don't know. We'll see what time tells.
I got one more question for you, right? So talking about black belt, is that something you want your dad to give you?
Yeah, for sure. I've always got all my belts from my dad. I had the gym that I was training at, this guy, he knew my dad, but he never even talked to him. And he kind of just gave me stripes. And I told my dad, I was like, I just let him give them to me, bro. I'm going to say no, And then it's kind of a weird trip where the guy, I don't know, he got kind of weird with me. And then he unfollowed me on Instagram and I left the academy, and it's more to it, but I took the degrees off, bro, because I was over him. I was like, I don't even want to think about this guy giving me the degrees. And then it was funny today. You could still see the mark on the thing. The guy who I teach from, the black belt, Carver is his name. He's like, I only put these stripes on for you. Like, yeah, freaking throw them on for me. Head on. Thank you. I'll take them from you. I was like, I don't know. I never had to take them off. I was just like, one day I was just looking at him and I just took him off. Like, I don't need these stripes from this guy. Freaking
Never feel.
unfollow me on Instagram, get all weird, doesn't want to like talk to me, and like I don't know, he got all weird on me.
That's too bad. That's too bad, bro.
But yeah, freaking to stay positive and keep training, train forever. It's a lifestyle, I'll be training forever. I'll come check you guys out. Next time I come to Oahu, go check out Small Man Jiu-Jitsu and
Yes,
Rudy.
sir.
I
Yes,
never got to
sir.
train with Rudy, that's why. Yeah. This guy, we only played
Yeah.
around a little bit at the house. But yeah, I'll come check you guys out for sure. Next time in
For
Oahu.
sure.
Should be coming out there for sure in the next year or so. Guaranteed.
Raja, we definitely would like that, bro.
Yeah.
All right, Reef. I want to thank you again for taking time out to spend a little time with us on our journey. And we hope to see you again soon, brother.
Yeah, no worries. My first time doing something like this. So thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Right on. Right on. All right.
I'll see you.
Okay, try hang on. Yeah.